Oh, just a second. There we go. Okay. So we're going to put the North Pole to New York City up again at the top of our page so that we know where the summit is fitting, because it can fit either as our lead magnet where it's part of an opt-in. That is the most common feature. Absolutely. It's one of the big benefits of a summit. An intro product where really most common is you're paying for replays. And then New York City, which is what you're building your sales funnel for. So when you have your summit, this is typically how it's going to lay out in terms of our North Pole to New York City. We know, okay, we're putting all the effort in, we're hosting this, we're running it to increase our list size. You are also planning for sales conversions in terms of replays for the summit, which is what I would say is the short-term sales conversion, because people could buy it right away. And you're really laying the foundation of your sales funnel, the business, the experience people buying from your business, in terms of obviously selling other intro products and selling your New York City. So when it comes to setting stuff up in Kajabi, need this. I'm here.
Jamson, I have a question right there before you go on to the next part. Could the intro also be on a lot of summits will have like early bird specials if you pre-order the replays, because we all know that they're going to sell you the replays.
Mm-hmm.
But they also will try to lure you in at the beginning, like, hey, you know, you're a seasoned summit person, guru, and you know, we know that we're going to offer a better price right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
So that would sit there as well, correct, in the intro?
Yep, that would sit in the intro. As soon as there is money involved, it crosses the line and lands in the intro column. So pre-ordering it, selling it during the summit, selling it after the summit, all of those are going to be the same. They fall under the intro bucket.
Right, but each one, but that would have like a real involved pathway as well, because you have to turn it on, turn it off based on where you are in the sequence of the summit, correct? Like pre-orders are probably only, you know, through maybe day 2 or 3 after the whole thing is over, because they usually will say, okay, you have 24 hours left and you get it at this price.
No, you just change the URL for the offer checkout page. You're not changing you're not messing with email sequences. You're not messing with infrastructure. You're just saying this price is through this point in time. When that's done, you redirect it to whatever the offer page is for the current price, and just do a simple URL swap. You're not messing with the infrastructure at that point. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Now let me make this bigger. So when it comes to the Kajabi portion, and really the Kajabi is the easiest part to set up, because you have made all of your decisions. You know what is your North Pole to New York City in terms of why you're putting this summit together. You know where the summit is fitting. You know what your offers are going to be. Yesterday, we talked about the legal issues, which those are going to come up as you're picking your speakers and you're getting all of the stuff behind the scenes taken care of. And then it's like you're finally ready to start setting some stuff up in Kajabi. Now, when you're doing this, the first thing you have to do is you've got to make your timeline. So get a sheet of paper out. You have to know where all of these pieces are hitting. One, because you're orchestrating a very involved process, but it also is I would recommend using events, using the Kajabi events piece. And to use events, you have to have a date. So you have to have a timeline as you're doing all of this stuff. Now, here is where I will caution people. You can go and Google how to run a virtual summit. You will have hundreds and if not thousands of resources. You will see so many, because people that run summits are typically more mature businesses. They know how to use their tools. They've done this a few times, or they came from an industry where they might have done it in an offline type of a format. When you come and you're running a summit for the very first time, you do not need to have like split A/B testing. You don't need to be testing the conversion of different forms. Stay where you are. If you are a beginner, then run it. Professionalism doesn't mean, beginner doesn't mean lack of professionalism. Beginner means I know where my skill set is. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm putting together. Also, don't run the risk of saying, I'm a beginner, but I'm going to hire this person who says they know how to do everything. Very often, you're just getting hosed because you don't know what questions to ask them to properly vet them. And I cannot tell you how many experts' messes I have cleaned up in the last 10 years. So be okay with being a beginner. There is nothing wrong with it. It does not mean you are not a professional. I would personally run one form and one landing page. So I say that because I've read the same stuff you guys are reading, and you think you're doing everything right. And it's like, oh, I need to test this and this and this. No, we test when we've run this a few times. Like your test right now is just setting all of these things up. So that is just that's going to be my public service announcement, to say the least. So on our timeline, we say, okay, here is my event date. Okay, and we'll go into Kajabi and look at this stuff. And event date is great because let's say that the event is going to be May 1st at 9 a.m. is when it's going to start, Eastern Daylight Time. So when I'm running this, I can now take advantage of notifications letting people know time, which we have access to minutes, hours, days. You have weeks too, but especially as it's getting close, you're gonna want minutes and hours. And after the event, so you have access to 90 days, calendar days before, and you have access to 90 days after. Meaning, whatever I pick as the event date, I could pick it as the start of the event. I could also pick it as, a Wednesday where the event goes from Monday to Friday. So whatever, it'll come down to counting days and what makes sense to your brain. Some people's brains think, oh, the event is the start of the event. Some people's brains think, oh, the event is the day it closes. You're not wrong. All you have to do is make sure you're counting your days correctly. And in Kajabi, you have access to whatever you're using there. Any questions? I'm going to pop us over into Kajabi. Yep. All right. So when we are starting to look at Kajabi, again, you're going to have your detailed timeline. And like we've said over and over and over again, using Kajabi, how many ways can I add up to the number 12? 1 and 11, 2 and 10, 24 divided by 2. There are many ways to accomplish your goal. So I'm going to show you the basic version that most people will start with, but know that some people are doing 1 plus 11. Some people are doing 6 times 2. Some people are doing 24 divided by 2. you're all making different decisions because that's the beauty of Kajabi. It lets you make the decisions that best accomplish your business purpose. So when you're running a summit, I can't think of a time where you wouldn't use events because of the ability to send emails at minute, hour, and day intervals. If I'm using just email sequences, I don't have the accessibility to minutes and hours. When I'm sending something like a summit, I want those emails to go out 1 hour before the event. You can still use broadcasts to maintain control. So you could write broadcasts ahead of time and schedule them to send. That's also entirely feasible. And that's what I'm going to show you guys secondly. So here we would say new event and we would name it. So we'd say virtual summit. I'm going to do it as the event being the start date. So it's going to start May 1st at 9 a.m. And we're not going to repeat this. Set your time zone for whatever time zone is controlling the clocks. Set that. And here, now we take our timeline, our detailed timeline, and we say, okay, we're going to add the email. More than likely, you're going to have at the time of registration. So this is, and I'm going to just do everything in caps. I'm not upset, but it will drive me insane if I get my capitalization wrong. So fair warning, I'm turning caps on. You are confirmed. You are confirmed. Next steps. Whatever that email needs to say, you're letting them know, yep, you're registered, all is good. Then you start adding in your emails. Now, when you put them in here, you just have to be very cognizant of what am I counting? What emails am I sending? Is it speaker specific? Is it the link specific? So you're just using your timeline. But here, this is where I wanted you guys to see you have access to minutes and hours, days, weeks, and months. These top two are the really important ones. Some will use the day, like, hey, our summit's starting at, tomorrow kicks off the summit, or the day after the summit is finished when you're still trying to sell, replays of whatever it was. But these two are why you would use events, because currently in Kajabi, there isn't a way using broadcasts or sequences for email to have it be minutes or hours. 9 a.m. means I can send before the event 1 hour and it will go out at 8 a.m. So I can put reminder, 1 hour starts. That's why you can use events for timing things out. Now, in terms of, let's say I had 3 speakers that were speaking on a day, and one's at 9, 12, and 3 p.m. Eastern. I would use email broadcasts for those emails. I would not use them in the events section because I'm going to have a unique, a link for whatever it is. I'm then having to count. Like, okay, the event was 9 a.m. on a Monday, but now I need to send the reminder for 3 p.m. on a Wednesday. So that is, I have to use hours because I need it to go out at 2 p.m. on Wednesday. That's a lot of math for me because I'm having to use hours, which means I have to calculate from Monday at 9. Okay, Tuesday at 9 a.m. would be 24. Wednesday would be 48. And then I'm adding another 6. So 54 hours send this thing. Not my personal choice. Instead, you say, okay, email campaign, because I can filter based on everybody, that opted into the summit. I'm going to use broadcast, which is beautiful and can include the countdown timer for the event. So I can use that. I'm just gonna use the classic editor just because I'm not writing a pretty email. But let's say this is speaker 5 reminder for Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so you can write all of these emails ahead of time. Person on your team can write all these emails ahead of time. You would select it based on registered for the event, completed the form. This is my test site, so we're just going to use everybody because there's not that many great accounts in here. Once I chose it, now I can put in here speaker 5 going live in 1 hour, because I can then just send this. So speaker 5, this part is manual, so you don't automate all of this, but that's also a good thing because when you stay in control, just set yourself a reminder. Go in and send whatever emails need to go out. Speaker 5 going live in an hour. And click save and continue. So when this is ready, I'm going to just click save and continue. And this is where people get really confused when they're doing events. It's like you're trying to automate every single feature and it gets really confusing. What sequence? Where's this? What? It does. So you go, okay, you let events control big things that are not requiring a lot of higher math to time them, and then use broadcasts to just maintain control and keep life easier. So that's one. Then when let's say I woke up Wednesday morning, the VA, whoever wants to send this, you just go, okay, here it is. Sorry, I'm showing you two different versions. This is stay in complete control. I'm going to show you, you can also schedule these. Okay, so two things. I should have said that at the beginning. So this is going from draft to I just now want to send it. Okay. Also recommended for people that are doing this for the first time, so you don't confuse yourself. If nothing is scheduled, you can't accidentally send it or have to accidentally undo it. This can come in handy if you have a last minute cancellation and you need to adjust your copy. These things happen. I am a bit of a control freak. So does it require manual? Yes, but there's nothing wrong with manual as long as you're leveraging the majority of stuff. You're leveraging Kajabi for what it does really well. But you have a last minute speaker cancellation, something has happened, you need to redirect, whatever it might be, this just takes care of that panic. All you do is come in, adjust the email, and then send it. So it is, like I said, lots of ways to get to 12. And then I would just click confirm and send it. I can also go to review the email right here. This is an element of control, but you are scheduling. So if you have something you need to change at the last minute, you'll have to unschedule it and then send here, send it a specific time. So we want to send it out May 1st at, I'd probably do 1 p.m. just for deliverability, but I could schedule it for 2, click apply. This is now scheduled. So depending on your level, depending if you're doing it all yourself, if you have help, that is how you send out the notifications in terms of, yes, this, here's the agenda for today, send that out. And that really is what I have seen people prefer anyhow. Send me one email at the beginning of the day, letting me know, oh, here's the 9 a.m., here's the noon, here's the 3 p.m., here's the 6 p.m. speaker, instead of here's the 9 a.m. speaker, here's the noon speaker, here's the 3 p.m. speaker, here's the 6 p.m. speaker. Like 4 emails in one day or one, syllabus type email. You will know, you have made those decisions based on your business, your comfort level, and your audience. So those are the communication portion. Any questions on that part? All good? Awesome. Okay, let's get back. There we go. All right, so when their events, cool, all that stuff is set up, when we will need is we'll need a form. We're having people opt in to your virtual summit. So you're going to have a form for your front door, getting them in the door. So here we'll call it opt-in lead magnet virtual summit. Your standard page. What I would recommend as you're starting and you want to test and make sure things are coming through. After submission, you can check this box that says send a notification to your team. Turn this on for the first 50, 100 submissions, just so you know, yes, it's working. People are submitting the form. You know, we posted over here. We should expect to see signups. But then once you know it's working, go in and turn that sucker off. Otherwise, your email will be very, very, very full. So here is our form. We are going to make your life easy. You can use automations and register them to the event. So we're on the form page. We're going to click add automation. While you're here, we're going to say register to an event. We're going to pick our event and click save. So we know they're going to get whatever communications that the event tab is driving that we have set up, and it's on this form page. So that is very good. We're going to now take this, we'll come back because I'm going to have you guys, we will end up checking this box, but we wouldn't have that page done yet. So we're going to circle back to that. You go, okay, got my form now. Then you guys have watched enough of mine. I am a fan of building with pages versus pipelines because it's less work. So I'm going to do this with just a page. Here, I would definitely recommend start with your sales page for, in fact, let's just draw this out on the whiteboard very quickly, because when you're running your summit, you're going to have a different sales page than you would for your other offers. You're offering at a bare minimum the replays of the calls. So let's here's our pages. So, alrighty. So here, I'm going to have my sales page for the virtual summit replays. Then I'm going to have the thank you page from the opt-in. Then I'm going to have the opt-in page, which is where your form is. So this is the process. They opt in, they see the thank you page, and then when the cart opens, you'd be sharing the sales page with them. Here, I'm a huge fan. Build this page first. Get all your fonts, all your colors, all your images, all your copy, everything that you want to say, build your sales page first. Because if you can write your sales page, you have the clarity to then write your emails, have your copy. And what we do is then we clone it. So we clone it times 2. So one copy is here, one copy is here, and we just hide the sections that are not related to the sales page. Meaning we keep our graphics the same, the feel of it, it makes it so easy to keep your branding spot on, and it's way less work. Like, it's so much less work. So the sales page, I would just, basically cross out all those blocks on the clone so that the only thing showing is the opt-in, and then describing what the summit is about, who's speaking, all of those pieces. But that's where, when you're building in Kajabi, build this first, clone it for as many copies as you need. So we would need 2 copies, so times 2. When you're building in a pipeline, you have to rebuild every single page from scratch. So it's just a lot of extra work versus cloning. Like, cloning is just, ta-da, it's like all finished. So that's why I am a big fan of cloning and not having to use the pipeline feature. So here, we're going to just change this up. We'll just rename this to the virtual meetup. Oh, summit, not meetup. That. Go back to our page. We will pretend that this was our sales page that we cloned so that we can just select our form. The opt-in page is obviously what we would be sharing out. What people that are helping you share the summit, that's what they would be sharing. So, there we go. Whoop. You can just click on your form. There's our form. Up here. Better photo. Okay, we're going to add a section. We must have edited this page. So we just need an opt-in. There we go. Add. So you can click to get your form. You'd go in, pick your form, add it to your page. Here is where you would select your thank you page. Again, we made our sales page originally. All we have to do is now link it to the thank you page. So here, we'd link it to the landing page. We would select Virtual Summit, thank you page, and that would be it. So you can click, we'd click save. And because the form is registering them to the event, whatever you're sending out communication-wise using the events portion, that's going to get sent out. And if you're using email broadcasts, you're going to simply filter based on who submitted the form. So, questions on that stuff. And again, when you're setting up your own, you're going to run into lots of nitty-gritty questions.
I had a question about when you set up the original sales page, then you clone it twice.
Mm-hmm.
So in the initial sales page, are you also asking them to register for, hang on, I just lost my train of thought. I'll come back to I have a brain fart. Hang on one second.
That's okay. That is okay. It seems to be going around today. Everyone has had like really foggy brains today. Let me see if I've got an example in here.
I know what it was now. Do you have to do anything special in the mobile section? Or does whatever you make in the desktop section look okay for the mobile section, or would you have to do something different there?
You would want to be going back and forth. So as you're building your page, you would want to be looking at it in the desktop version, clicking on it and looking at it in the mobile, and then making your decisions back and forth. I'll always keep my true mobile device. Besides clicking back and forth in Kajabi, I'll also look at it on an actual phone and see, do I like it? Do I not like it? That kind of stuff, for sure. But yeah, if you're using Encore, then you can choose the desktop, what to display in desktop, what to display is mobile only, and you can make those adjustments very, very easily. So here is an example of a templated sales page in terms of the sections. So you can see it's kind of walking people through, you know, is this you? I like to use the testimonial block, not for testimonials, because typically they're very wordy and the slider speed is usually too fast. But the testimonial block works so good in terms of asking a prompting question, like, how would it feel if, or can you imagine if? So I like that block for that. But you're just going through, and again, this is the sales page. So this is going to be the longest version. And then you can just hide the sections. So if I go back into this page, which I think I had, yeah, it's right here. Because it really does force people to get specific. Like when you have to write the sales page, you have to have specifics. So it really helps creatives who are like, oh, I have this great idea and I'm going to build this thing. You're like, okay, how much are you selling it for? Well, I'm still working on that. Okay, how long can they buy it? Well, I'm still working on that. Okay, well, who's speaking? Oh, haven't quite nailed that down. Like it forces you to get your work done so that you don't end up with egg on your face in any way, because you've thought through all of these things. So here, because it's so easy in Kajabi, you go, you know what? I just want to take off block number 2. So I just want to take this block off. I just hide it. I don't delete it. I just hide it somewhere. Come on, there we go. Here, and I just hide it. So I've made the sales page. I know my specifics. I've done my homework. I can communicate what's going on because I know what's going on. And then I just hide the sections and make whatever small edits I need to make so that you're not having to pay someone to make 3 pages. You know, if you're going to hire someone, hire them to help you with the sales page, knowing I can just clone it and put this same messaging in different spots. You're cutting your time, you're cutting your money, your brand looks better, and you'll get more done in less time. So huge. That's how I build everything. Good question. Other questions? And depending, I should say, all of these are, all the checklists are on the Trello boards, but because a virtual summit is your unique footprint in terms of what you're setting up, you would go, oh, I need to make a form. Okay, then use the checklist for the forms. I need to make an event. Use the checklist for events. There's not one way to set up a virtual event because there's too many decision points. So if you're looking for a virtual checklist, it is there in its individual pieces.
I need some more juice.
Okay. Yeah.
Any questions? We've covered a lot in virtual summits, to say the least. Even my husband, who's been listening for the last 3 days, said it is a lot. But they're really good. But it's like planning a really big wedding.
But more fun.
And if you want a really big wedding and it makes sense, go for it. But it's not the easiest lead magnet. We'll put it that way. It's not the easiest one to build, but it works well. It builds your authority, grows your list. You establish connections with different people. So it has a lot of pros going for it, as long as you know going into it all the pieces it's going to take. And really, to do it well, at a bare minimum, you'd probably need a 90-day runway, closer though to 6 months. Trying to get speakers arranged is the longest portion for sure.
Where would you put the speaker bios? Would they be in the sales page and the email sequence, each individual emails that you send out? Like maybe day one, we have these 3 speakers, or, not give the whole list of the whole, 5 days worth of speakers, but how would you put that together to do, like, maybe I would imagine on the sales page is the whole list of every speaker, and then breaking it out per email per day? Is that how you would?
Yeah, depending on, I like putting the in-depth speaker stuff inside the free product, or the product for the summit, because it's going to be free and paid. I like putting the long version inside there so that the people who want to see it can see it. It's elegant. I can include calls to action. I can link to everything the speaker wants. It's in one place. I'm not asking people to track it down. I would put short paragraph, short descriptor on the sales page, and I'd use that same short descriptor in the email if I was sending the email out for that day. You can, I've seen people that aren't utilizing the free product strategy. They'll build a standalone page for each speaker, build a speaker page, clone it times the number of speakers, and then they'll link to that. So from the sales page, click on Susie Q. Great. Click on Susie Q, and it opens up a standalone page with all the speaker information. They can click back to the original main page. So you can use standalone pages to also accomplish that same effect. Really will come down to having the information. Do you want people to have it long term? If I want to keep all the speaker stuff with their content, so that if someone's watching a video and they want to reach out to that speaker, that I'm making those connections as seamless as possible, I will put it in the product. Versus here's all this content, and that landing page is like, might as well have been 20 years ago, because in the digital world, that page is a week or 2 weeks old. Nobody's tracking it down. So I personally, when thinking from the guest's perspective, how am I making their business stronger? How am I making their business better? Here's their topic. Here's their page. Here's their, because some of them now, will send you YouTube videos. Well, I can embed the YouTube video. Anything that you're doing to highlight and strengthen your speakers is handled really well inside of a product. So that's my personal preference for where I like to put it.
Then I also had a legal question, going back to me being a guest speaker on somebody else's summit.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say what I'm going to offer to people for tuning into the summit is a free 15-minute consultation analysis of, let's say, a body part or
Mm-hmm.
something that's of that person.
Mm-hmm.
Then where does the HIPAA regulations fall into play as far as sending information back and forth, even if it's within the library where they would maybe eventually get to seeing the course and then, okay, I need a picture of X of
Mhm.
your kid. And
Yeah,
they
all
take a
of
picture.
yours, all the HIPAA stuff, when it's in that situation, you need to have it as they're booking. So however they're scheduling with you on Acuity, I know there are certain, I think Zoom has a level for people that have to comply with HIPAA stuff.
That's why I beat the dog.
It's ridiculously expensive, like it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month.
And
But when
Acuity
they're-
is a paid HIPAA portion that I think it was like $200 a month or something like that.
Yeah, I would, whenever you're doing that kind of stuff, you definitely, like, there's true HIPAA. Me and my doctor going back and forth. Yes, you've got to have that stuff all the time. It's different if, yep, we're doing a phone consult and you agree to my waiver. Here's this, you're sending, this picture knowing full well, yes, could it get intercepted by Acuity? Absolutely. So as long as you have, provided that that's okay, like I can't, I can tell people when they're talking like, hey, you didn't hire me as your attorney. I'm not your attorney. I'm not giving you legal advice. There is no attorney-client privilege. Zilch. Like if you have an expectation of privacy, you're crazy because I'm on a call with 10 other people. No, I don't have to worry about that because my disclaimers say, I'm not giving you personal, you haven't hired me as an attorney. When you're dealing with HIPAA, as long as okay, this is what I'm bound by. And yep, I'm giving a consult as part of this. They're sending me a picture, I'm giving feedback. I would have a disclaimer that says, this is part of a consult. This is not me acting under HIPAA authority. As long as that doesn't violate any of your professional code of ethics or professional standards, then those are two different ballgames.
And would there be anything within Kajabi correspondence back and forth to a potential client regarding, like, if they're in a course and they want to put a comment in there, they can't put a picture in the comment or send me a picture anyway through
No, they can post, if you have your comment, like in a product, if you have comments that are visible, then whatever they post is public knowledge. So in your purchase terms for that course, you spell it out. This is not you and me together. This is a public course. You can post whatever you want in the comments. Assessments do have the ability for them to upload things, but if I was dealing with stuff that was truly confidential, then I'd be using confidential systems. Kajabi is not built at all for HIPAA regulations.
Okay, I just want to be mindful of the pathway that I'm not inviting trouble, to myself, that we'll just take that offline or off of Kajabi.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I saw that all down here.
Okay, well, are we done now?
Other questions?
No.
I'm not done. We're coming up to eat. Turn those off, right?
All right. Well, I'm going to wrap up then our now 3-part virtual summit, which that you guys are more than welcome. You can ask me any questions at any time. I'm happy to answer them. But hopefully that gave you guys a good understanding of what it is, how you can set it up, and then like the actual building block pieces.